Hey, Burke.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, my, episode 196. Can't believe it.
It's incredible. Congratulations.
Oh, my. That's a lot of recordings in 18 months.
Yes, it
Uh,
is.
so tell folks a little bit about you, and then I want Maura to tell folks a little bit about herself. And then I've got some questions I want to throw at you guys.
That's perfect. I will. I'll do that. Burke Autrey, CEO of 40mpartners.com. We're about 40m Partners at 40mpartners.com. We're about 11 years in. We call ourselves the number one provider of technology leadership because we think we provide more technology leaders in technology leadership roles than any other company in the world.
And Maura, sales acceleration. I always have to do a disclosure whenever it happens. A few years ago, I did some work for sales acceleration. So I'm just disclosing that at one point, Maura was my client.
Yeah, he did. And thank you, Dean. You did a great job for us. Thank you for the invitation to join you and Burke on this this webinar, our podcast. So we are the Fractional. We are the pioneer in sales outsourcing. So if you really look at it, that's what our advisors, we have them throughout the US, Canada. We've recently expanded in UK and Australia, and they go in and they help people with sales departments that need to be turned around or built and structured. So that's basically what we do in a nutshell.
All right. Awesome. Okay. So it has been a crazy 5 years in the economy, right? What and fractional work, fractional executives and firms build up around that have had a roller coaster, crazy expanding 5 years. What trends are you guys seeing right now around the demand for fractional executives? Is it up? Is it down? Is it still kind of steady? Does it even out over time? How does it work?
Go ahead, Maura. I will always yield to you first.
Well, thank you, Burke. Yeah, I think this is a great question to ask, Dean. So really, it kind of started, you said 5 years. When COVID hit, it really put fractional work on the map. People started to realize, and as you know, the new term and trend right now is skills-based talent, which is really what a fractional person is. So people started to look for that, understanding the value they got, that you could get an upskilled talent at maybe a highly hourly rate, but less hours. And they know what they're doing and they're able to come in and deliver. So that's the key thing we're seeing. So people are showing up much more informed when they're talking to our advisors.
Burke, how about you? What are you seeing?
Yeah. The COVID was a crazy time. That when that happened, we were sitting around wondering what in the world was going to happen next. And then it took off, right? It took off. And so, I don't know that I would have at the time said that it was so much around fractional and on demand, but what happened was everyone went virtual, and every fractional leader is almost by definition virtual, whether it's across town or across the country, right? And so that trend, or I guess forced situation, put us right in the middle of that, us and all the other fractional leadership providers like Sales Acceleration and others, that we just had the right product at the right time. And it was an amazing, we shot up. I think we grew 45, 55% compounded annual growth rate during those years. And things have sort of cooled off, and we've won what we've won, I think, in terms of putting fractional on the map. Fractional, we do interim as well, but it's been a great growth year, a growth time during the last 5 years.
So now, if we consider that like a 5-year span, and obviously we're at the end of a 5-year span. We're not at the end of fractional, but here at the end of this 5-year span, like what's now the hardest part of scaling a fractional executive business?
Go ahead.
That's a really great question. I think for us, it's as your business grows, we have more advisors to serve, more clients to serve, and making sure that the quality and the consistency is there so that it reflects the true value of what it is that we do. But also, most importantly, is ensuring that our advisors are staying current for client needs and services. So, we can't not talk about AI, right? It's like the elephant in the room. We were out on the forefront of it with our AI sales playbook and things we did last year, but just continuing to bring the things in when the timing is right, because things like AI right now are still so new. So we have to make sure we're vetting for our advisors and for their ultimate clients that the
Right.
things we're bringing to them are solid, they're proven, and they work. And so that's really important for us to deliver that to our advisors, to deliver to their clients. So that's the kind of stuff that we think about as we just scale as an organization is how do we do that work to help our advisors so they can serve their clients better and serve more clients.
Mm. Yeah, great. All for us, all those same things.
Mhm.
AI has to become the language that we speak to our clients, and it's just so pervasive. I didn't realize a few years ago, well, a couple of years ago, or even last year, how pervasive it's going to be. But it is going to pervade, and I think fractional leadership in general is not one of the first places to go. CMOs are going to be around, CFOs, chief sales
Right.
officers, they're all going to be around, but the role is going to change. So that I think that is critical. We've almost had to, sort of figure out a new service line in a way, right? We've had to figure out and retool for that. But I would say, in terms of the 5 years being over and kind of what's next, we are going to have to figure out what does business look like in the age of AI. How is it going to change, and how will our service change? I think we're positioned really, really well. All of us in the fractional space are positioned well because in that skills-based leadership that Maura mentioned, it is critical that we figure out how to deliver value at a lower cost and a lower amount of time, right? Because that's the trend. We've got CIOs, CTOs, and CISOs who are going to have to serve multiple clients, and the only way you can do it is fractional, right? And
Right.
they're going to have smaller teams. It's going to be smaller scope of people, but the same things to go do. So it's an exciting time.
Okay. A little bit of a pivot.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday. As we record this, it's about 3:00 on a Wednesday afternoon.
Mhm.
And between the two of you, you're both CEOs of fractional executive companies. And between the two of you, we're looking at fronting at least 300 plus fractional executives.
Mhm.
And yet here you are on this podcast. So here's my question. What role does your personal brand play these days in the company's visibility?
Mm.
That's a fascinating question. Yeah. Thank you. Because I had to think about this one. So I'm glad you kind of put that out there for me. So
Yeah.
for me, my client, first and foremost, is our advisor.
Right.
And so my role I took the company over from the founders about 4 years ago, is to keep our culture of servant leadership, service, serve first. And so I wake up thinking about that constantly. Am I delivering that behavior? Am I exhibiting that behavior? What am I doing for them? And so I start with them, but then I do have to keep myself top of mind and brand to help grow our
Mhm.
brand recognition, right? So it's
Mhm.
doing stuff like podcasts, writing articles, contributing to different types of organizations, so that I am staying current and on the pulse to myself out and LinkedIn is the mad world of where you stay current and relevant, right? So
Mhm.
ensuring that when I do post, I don't post as often as a lot of other people, but when I do, I put a lot of thought leadership into them so that
Right.
I get more eyeballs on it and more engagement.
Yeah.
Burke, your own personal brand?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great question. So our marketing team is they're great at sort of pulling me into that. Our CMO is great at that, and our marketing manager, they encourage me frequently and often to be to generate technology leadership, thought leadership around this space. The good news is, I think for us, is that I'm passionate about it. I am, I think most of the leaders of the fractional firms that you're talking to have done the role that they sell. And in my case, that is absolutely true. I spent most of my
Right.
career in CIO and CTO roles. And so you pair that with 20 plus years in fractional leadership companies, and I'm really passionate about it. I'm very passionate about the role of fractional and on demand and interim in this space and how that's going to impact business going forward. And so, marketing helps me take those ideas, which can be somewhat academic, at times, meaning I've just, there's a lot to talk about, and they help me get that out into the market. So I've written a book. Most of the companies that, most of the large firms have some sort of book to push. And that's one way that I do it. The other way is just taking pieces of that book and turning them into various, shorter not podcasts, but shorter pieces of information, blogs or whatever, repurposing that. And so we think that the firm needs a leader, things needs a brand, a personal brand, a person with a brand leading the firm and being out in the marketplace and sort of telling our client and our ideal client profile and the people that we serve what needs to happen. Yeah.
Okay. So let's stay with the theme of sort of putting something out there into the world and, in the competitive landscape. So for both of you, do you think your companies started or were started with the right positioning and messaging from the jump that just clicked with the marketplace, or did you have to iterate a bit to sort of find the angle that worked and helped growth?
Good question.
That's a really good question. So I will say for sales acceleration, when I joined the company, they'd just been around for a couple of years. And to be quite honest, I didn't understand what they did when I started talking to Mark and Chad, our founders. And so, yes, it took a lot of, muscle for us too, because we were introducing a new concept like fractional work and, putting in our very tenured seasoned sales leaders. I mean, we don't hire anybody that hasn't really had, 15, 20, 30 years of proven experience. And what does that mean for an organization? So they understand tangibly, if you hire them, what the outcome is, right? Because at the end of the day, people want to know how much is it going to cost me and what's the benefits I'm going to reap as an organization. So we had to kind of, work on that. And we wrote, we've done books. We've come up with taglines. We deliver a path to sales success and things like that. But what we find still works for us is people now do know who we are and conceptually what we do, but it's just continuing the narrative of really what it's going to look like before and after is the best brand messaging that's worked for us. And, really studying our growth. On average, we do 32% growth at the company. So that really draws people into, the story. So hopefully that kind of answers what you were looking for.
Yeah. And Burke, how about you? Did you guys have it right from the beginning, or did you have to try different positions and messages till you got it?
I think we had it from the beginning. I think it's strengthened over the years as we've taken feedback from the market. And I do think we've rolled that feedback into it. And as the market has grown, but I think it's pretty much the same message. I've always been passionate. This is about this space. This is always the business I wanted to start. And we have a great group of people doing it, and they're also passionate about it. So the key thing has always been technology. You can't have business without technology, and you can't have technology without a technology leader. And it's just an easy fit, easy to communicate.
Now, both of you are at firms that are like 10 plus years old, and there's been we talked about, or can talk about the 5-year push from COVID onward and virtual. But at this point, every type of fractional executive firm has competitors, right? Direct competitors. So how are you differentiating these days versus all of these competitors that are popping up?
Yeah. So, it's interesting because we get people ask us all the time who our competitors are, and we don't have anybody that really truly competes exactly like we do from a scale. We have about 230 advisors, but really for us, it's as simple as this. We are a sales organization, and I've ran sales, I've ran marketing. It's two very different skill sets. I don't care if people say they can do both. The tactics are very different from a sales role and a marketing role. And our lane is sales. We then bring in the expertise. We're not, the marketing firm, but we bring in the marketing, we bring in partners, we bring in Burke and people like that need it. So staying in our lane, staying true to who we are is mission critical for us. It doesn't mean we don't partner with, some of those other core, areas around the business wheel. But you've got to stay an expert in your lane. And I think that's really for us, what's really, really important.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. It's hard to follow Maura. She does a great job.
Thanks, Burke. You do a
So
great job too.
this topic, Dean, could be, an entire podcast, I think,
Yes.
because there's so many people competing against each other out there, and it's so easy for AI to generate, we're the biggest, we're the best, generate their own top 10 list and put them at the top, right? And it's frustrating in the space that we're in, because someone who has one client and one person can hang out a shingle and say we're the
Yep.
best, right? Top
Mhm.
10, top 5, whatever. We are, I think, the undisputed leader in this space. And so we try to just grab onto that and say, and when our partners come to us as candidates, they tell us, I've talked to everybody, and you guys are by far the most professional, the most organized, the best in terms of presentation, your website, the feel of going through the process. It is very different and miles ahead of anything else that they see. We hear it from clients too. I mean, it's a very different thing. And so being a single shingle is very different than working with a large firm. And you got to decide which one you want. There's
Right.
pros and cons to both of them, right? We have chosen the lane of large large provider with a selection of many people. So you come to us with any industry, you come to us with any size company, with any problem, and we've got several people that we can choose from to help you almost every time, and they can start on Monday. There's not a lot of people who can say that. And so when Maura says, we don't find people that compete with us, it's a true saying that nobody competes with us in that way.
Mhm.
Let's talk about client acquisition for a second. So a little more tactical than the differentiation and stuff. What hasn't worked for client acquisition? Social worked or didn't? Advertising worked or didn't? Direct outreach worked or didn't? Prospecting, what didn't work? He's like tried it at one point in the company. So like, this is like, we don't get our customers this way. They just don't find us this way. They don't listen to us if we talk on that channel. Like, what works or what doesn't? Like, one thing, let's just keep it. What's one thing that didn't work well that you don't do?
Yeah. I love this question because I'm passionate about this question because I tell this to all of our new advisors. Traditional marketing of buying a list and kind of just promoting it doesn't work. And I'll tell you why it doesn't work for us is there's no magic list of what companies that don't have a solid sales department or don't have a solid sales foundation. And so putting your efforts into, that kind of work doesn't do it. So there's no magic list you can buy. It doesn't mean there's not other marketing tactics you can do, but
Right.
if a marketer comes in and says, we'll just buy some lists and we'll do email, I will tell you it will not work. And I have never been proven wrong yet. And so I'm never going to say never, Dean, but it's that magical list that I'm just going to start advertising to, because there is no list that people sign up for that.
Yeah, that's good. And I think, Maura, it's because it's more timing than it is
exactly
fundamental, right? Every company needs email. Every company needs a website, right? So you can call any company, you can see what they have. You can say, oh, your website's terrible. Let me help you build another one. The copy on your website's terrible. Let me help you do it. And essentially in that way, everyone is a prospect, right? So in our world, it's more about timing. So to answer your question, Dean, is that cold outbound has not been great for us. Inbound, the inbound revolution that HubSpot people started has worked much better. We've tried outbound. It's hard to say it doesn't work when we've sent 100,000 emails and gotten 2 or 3 responses, but one of those responses turned into an engagement that's a very strong engagement for us. But it is all about timing. It really is. And so if you happen to get one of those people on that list that is going through a transition, they just lost their sales leader, they just lost their technology leader, it's perfect timing. The CEO of that company that did respond says, it worked this time,
Yeah, just to add on to that, Dean and Burke, I love that, the word timing, because you have to be, it's not only timing, but it's also, are you in enough pain, right? So you got to put the two together. And that's where you have to meet the client where they're at. And you're right, it is, you could do a list and one time get a good response and then nothing the next time, but it's the perfect world of timing for us and then really feeling the pain point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Is there anything when you're talking to a prospective client? I mean, you guys are heavy on the inbound side, and so people sort of find their way to you. Usually, like they go to Google and they have a problem to solve, and they end up reading your blog, or there's all kinds of ways to go in social, LinkedIn. Is there, as you're talking to prospective clients who make it past that, is there a red flag that you're like, this person, I know right now this company is not going to be a match for us, or we're not going to be a match for them? Like, is there like a red flag that you can see where you sort of advise clients, maybe that direction, or, ghost them, or whatever you want to do? What's a red flag for a prospect?
Yeah, for us, it is a lot about mindset. Are you really ready to come in, make change? Are you committed to making the change? We actually, some of our advisors will go in and just do a discovery session for the client for a small fee. And part of that is uncovering, are they ready? Because if you're not, then change is not going to happen. You're not going to get the results. And we don't want to not deliver on what, our promise and philosophy is. So that's really important to us. I will want to clear up one thing. We do get a lot of inbound stuff. So that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of our business is from advisors, network, and relationship building. So it's kind of a two-prong approach. So just want to make sure I cleared that point up.
Same. We're a large referral shop, so building relationships. Dean, in terms of what doesn't work or what might not be a great client for us, maybe when they're overly prescriptive, because if they could be great, and their prescriptive nature could be just right for them, but more often than not, being overly prescriptive. We need this kind of person that lives in this place, that has this much time available, with this skill set. They've used this ERP system, and they just fit our company like a glove. We can foresee that they might be a little bit too rigid in their thinking about in our world, usually the past person, there's a reason why that person is no longer there, or the reason that they haven't been able to grow a leader at that company. And so sometimes it just means they need to be a little more open to what somebody else might have to say about their business and how to solve some of their problems. So that's probably one of several that we see.
Okay. I'm going to wind this down now. I have a question for you guys. If you had to, you're each going to go out and you're going to do it all over. Right? You're going to do it from scratch. Okay. If you had to start from scratch today, would you do anything differently?
Yeah. I want to hear this from Maura.
Well, I laugh when I say that. Of course, we would all do things differently, like woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? But I think at the core of it, it would be a lot of little things and nothing philosophically for what our business model is, who we serve, how we help them, and that's really the most important thing for us, is that we are making a business go from a situation that's not working to, their sales are not growing, their organization is falling apart, wrong people in the wrong seats, and we're fixing that. And that feeling, and that when we walk away, is really like the best feeling you could have. It's beyond, the price, the money you made. And so I can't say that there is anything, because at the core of it is, for what we're trying to do, is make a business sustainable and grow and keep jobs in it. And so otherwise I could talk about little nitpicky things like, why did we do that? Why did we invest in that little thing or something like that? But no, not at a large scale.
Yeah.
And Burke, if you were starting a company like yours in 2025, anything different?
It would be different only because of what we've learned, as Maura said, not because of any fundamental thing. I wouldn't choose a different model. This is my second turn. I was with a firm called Tatum in the past, and they taught me great things on how to run this business. So we were able to start with that and run with it, but we've just gotten better at it. And so if I were going to start, there's learning that goes into it. We can spot a candidate a mile away that either is or isn't right for our model based on what they say and the questions they ask a lot of times. So we might tighten things up and, maybe do things a little differently, but not anything big. Like Maura said, no fundamental or foundational changes.
All right. It's time to wind down. I thank both of you for being here so much. This has been so great. I do want to ask, I'll start with Maura, who should be contacting Sales Acceleration these days? And what's the best way to get started if you're a potential customer, you think?
Yeah. So Thank you for asking that question. So we really kind of serve our niche is small to mid-sized businesses. So anywhere from, probably a 5 million to $200 million business. We go up to 3 that really know that something is off in their sales organization. So do they have the processes, the procedures, the forecasting, the right people in the right seats? And then are they bringing AI in? I mean, it's a force to be reckoned with. You cannot not pay attention to it, but in the right way. So really someone who knows that they're at a pivotal moment in their organization where they need to either build that solid sales foundation, improve upon it, or completely, gut what they're doing today. So that's really what we do. And we have, like I said, advisors, we have 230 of them throughout the United States, Canada, UK, Australia. So we can really kind of help wherever you need. And I loved it. Burke said this earlier. Today, being in person with COVID is not a deal breaker for anybody. Right. So, we can get people, the right people they need, but really just someone who's really at that pivot where they want to build a sales organization for growth. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Right. And start at the website.
Yes. Oh, and start at the website. Thank you. Yeah. And sales acceleration with an XC. I get tripped up on it when I'm spelling it.
Every time I have to think about it, but it's great.
And Burke, who should be contacting 40 of these days?
So,
and what's the best way to start?
I'll be really quick with it. CEOs of companies, usually mid-sized companies that are just not happy with the way technology is working, or they think they can do better. There's got to be a better way, a better approach. Very important, private equity operating partners who want to have a different approach than, I know a person, or let's go find, or let's start asking people. They can come to Fortium, and it's a one-stop shop for being able to find great technology leadership at a very, very short time frame. There are super buyers. They don't just buy once, they buy multiple times, and it's a great way to do it. And then HR sometimes is delegated the responsibility for finding a replacement for an interim usually. And so those individuals are, we're a lifesaver for them when they've been delegated the opportunity to find a CIO, CTO, or CISO fast. Right. Go to our website, fortiumpartners.com, find us on LinkedIn. Those are the 2 ways that we're found most often.
Yeah, and I'd like to put in a plug. I didn't say that PE, but because it's a very different world. And thank you, Burke, for bringing that up. We do a lot, but we do a lot of assessments for PE firms before or after they bought a company, and really how to get them on track. It's too many PE firms buy, and then the reality hits that this isn't what we thought we purchased, right? And we go in and we fix that. And that's a big part of a growing part of our business. And we also follow us on LinkedIn. We have about over 50,000 followers. So I'd love more people to come and hear sales tips.
PE sort of is growing like crazy. I wrote for $5 billion companies, $1 billion plus companies last year. 2 of them were my direct new clients, but 3 of them were private equity.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, good for you.
All of a sudden, it's just like there's a showing up.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Well, thank you, Maura. Thank you, Burke. This has been fantastic. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll catch everyone next time.
Okay. Thank you, Dean.